how we choose to show up in the moment. And so really understanding how to master what I call divine duality is the key. I mean, everything in our lives is based on duality. You breathe in and then you breathe out.
This is a perfect time of year to have this conversation, because now is the time of year when everyone's like starting fresh, and it's January and it's a new slate, and everyone's thinking about, hey, how am I going to make this my year, right? And everyone says, 2025 is going to be my year. And I believe a big part of that is really putting out there your intentions for what your reality is going to look like. And I know that's an area that you have a lot of expertise in. So let's start there. Kind of give me a little bit of a background on what is abundance and what is manifesting, and what is your expertise in relation to that?
Absolutely. Well, I have an unusual background because I was blessed on New Year's Day 2005 to have a stroke. And I always say blessed because during my stroke, I got to have a conversation with our higher power. I got a complete download about how everything works and why we're alive, what we can do to live our best life, and what happens next after this life. I always tell people, don't worry about that. It's a graduation. It's not an ending, nothing to get freaked out about. The key thing is how we choose to show up in the moment. And so really understanding how to master what I call divine duality is the key. I mean, everything in our lives is based on duality. You breathe in and then you breathe out. You use your right foot and then you use your left foot. You eat and then you digest. You go to sleep and then you wake up. I mean, everything in our experience is about duality. And we get to learn how to balance that human side, which is the action-oriented doing side, with the higher consciousness side, which is the being. It's really connecting with that God of your understanding. I like to say the divine, so that you are tapping into both sides of who you truly are. And often we get fixated on one or the other. We're so trapped in the doing. I just got to get it done. I'm in a hurry. I got to figure this out, and it's all on me to get it done. Well, then you're not making room for that divine inspiration. And you really are missing out, because every time you feel resistance, that's just the divine tapping you on the shoulder saying, honey, we can help you with this. Would you like a little assistance, or are you determined to just tie yourself in knots? I mean, it's your choice. Whatever knocks you out, fine. Or we get really fixated on that divine connection, and we're so in the flow with that we don't take any action. We never make it happen in our daily life. And it feels good in the moment, but we have to have both. We are in partnership with the divine. And if we don't leverage both sides of our innate nature, we don't get what we want. Now, you asked me a question about abundance, and what is abundance really? It starts with how you feel inside. Always. We've all had those experiences where you're excited, you're curious, something is coming. It might be your birthday, or it might be the holidays, and there are presents for you, and you don't know what's showing up, but you're in this excited, delighted, I call it grateful curiosity. When we're in that state of grateful curiosity, we're fully present, we're in the moment, we're engaged, we're wide open to receive the blessings that are present in the moment. That is the sign that you are on your way to creating exactly what you want in your life. It starts with that sensation in the body.
I love that. So how do we feel that? For someone who's maybe not familiar with that, or who hasn't felt that before, so my understanding of that would be it takes a relatively long time to develop that where you can routinely pull it up, right? So for me personally, it was a process of kind of unlearning how the first 35 years of my life, and then relearning how to be back to my authentic self, to where you can just kind of be in that flow state, and it doesn't have to be this big laborious process. It's way faster, right? But where would you advise someone start that?
Okay, so I have to start with a story, and then I'll take you through an exercise.
Sure.
Okay, so I was in my kitchen a few months ago doing dishes, And I was just kind of musing over, sometimes you're working on a project and it comes together easy peasy, no big deal. It's a snap, it's a breeze. And then there's other times you're working on a project and it is a freaking slog. It doesn't matter what you do, you hit challenge, roadblock, problem, issue. It's so frustrating. And I was just kind of wondering, why does that happen? And I immediately felt and heard a very loud, forceful voice in my body that said, when you deny your power is denied to you. When you acknowledge your power is shown to you. You are more powerful than you can imagine. I was like, holy cow. Okay. I dried off my hands and I wrote it down. I'm like, okay, how am I denying my power? I don't want to do that anymore. And when you just said, it can take me a long time to get in that zone, whatever you believe is true for you. And that is exactly what you've just manifested. And so I invite you to listen to your own words and say, it's super easy for me to connect with that zone. It's a breeze. It is no big deal. And now I'm going to take you through an exercise that will make it super easy for you forever. And you will never stress over getting into that energetic space of abundance, because that's what we create everything from. So what we're going to do is take 3 long, slow, deep breaths together. And as you breathe in through the nose, think the words, I am. And as you breathe out through the mouth, think the word consciousness. Okay, let's breathe together 3 times. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. Just rest here in a moment in this beautiful space of infinite divine grace. You can feel how deeply loved and valued you are. You are skilled and talented, and the way you choose to express yourself is exactly what is needed most in the world right now. Feel this deep connection and know that it's present for you anytime you choose to pay attention to it. Take another deep breath. And when you're ready, open your eyes and come back into the room. So how are you feeling now, Jim?
Still peaceful.
Yeah. See, we get so trapped in the doing. Well, how do I do that? I'm supposed to get into this energetic space. How do I do that? So then we balance that out with that higher consciousness connection, go into that space of deep divine grace and just savor that moment, savor that connection. And then when we come out of it, we get into the zone of, okay, cool, this is exciting. Grateful curiosity is the most powerful state of creation we can step into. So step into that awareness that I don't have all the answers, and that's okay. More news is coming my way. More blessings are here for me. I wonder what is going to be the surprise and delight of the moment now, right? We can just relax and let that come to us with a sense of grace and peace and joy.
Yeah. It reminds me of yesterday. I go for a walk every day. And when I do, I generally like to go no music, no nothing, just go for a walk. I often find it helps to clarify a lot of things, to give you time to just process where you're at and to think. And yesterday on that walk, I got a word downloaded to me that said, in order to step into a season of multiplication, you have to step out of a season of addition. And I thought about it for a while. And the reason I bring it up now is because it reminds me of this topic we're talking about here, where I believe a lot of people are trying to constantly add by their own power how to get to the destination that they want, right? They think that they can add in this morning routine, or they can add this or that, and they're constantly trying to take their own efforts and layer on, and they're building this house of cards, where if you will just surrender and sort of step out of that and allow that divine power to actually kick in and multiply for you, it's so much more powerful and so much faster to get where you want to go, but you have to surrender. And I believe that letting go of control is really difficult for people, because they think, hey, if I don't do it myself, if I don't hustle and grind my way there, it's never going to happen, right? So what would you say to someone who's having sort of a difficult time in letting go of control?
Okay, I'm going to share another story.
Please do.
And this is a wonderful story that comes from the book, The Magic of Surrender by Kute Blackson, Kute Blackson, The Magic of Surrender. And Kute's dad is known as the Miracle Minister. They were originally from Ghana, and they moved to London in the UK. They had over 200 churches, and every time the Miracle Minister would preach, people were cured of cancer. People who couldn't walk could walk. I mean, just amazing miracles. And Kute grew up in the church. I mean, he witnessed this his whole life. But then he sat down with his dad one time as an adult, and he said, "Dad, tell me about one of these miracles that you witnessed. What was going on? What happened?" And his dad said, "Well, the king of Ghana had a stroke, and he was in London, and half of his body was paralyzed. And they asked me to come and pray over the king for his complete and total health. And so I was there in the king's bedroom with the queen, and we were praying over the king. And I suddenly got this image of tomato juice. So I asked his wife, "Do you happen to have any tomato juice in the house?" And she said, "Yeah, you want me to bring some? That'd be a good idea." So she brought a little glass of tomato juice. And as the king was drinking the tomato juice, they heard these loud cracks and pops. And all of a sudden, the king jumped out of bed and he was moving around. He was fine. His body was working great. And Kute said, "Wow, Dad, how did you do that?" And the miracle minister said, "Well, God healed the king. That wasn't me. What I did was stop having to understand first. Stop judging it. Stopped analyzing it, having to get the cause and effect and the systems and the processes and all that. That's my mind getting in the way of the divine message. What I get to do is receive the message and share it, because as soon as I share it, the meaning becomes clear. God can act through once I share it. So I think what people get so tied up in knots over is how do I do this? How can I make this happen? How can I make this happen? In reality, I am not making this happen. I am a conduit for the divine who makes it happen. And so when I'm willing to get out of the way, it makes a massive difference. Now, there is something that I realized that really changed everything for me, because during my stroke, I've never felt such amazing unconditional love in my life. I mean, every cell, molecule of my body just totally embraced and cherished beyond imagining. I've got great relationships in this physical world, but this was a cut above, let me tell you. And so I came out of the stroke with absolutely no damage and a message to share what I'd learned. And I was like, wow, I want more of that. I mean, turn on that unconditional. I'll take that on tap. Thank you very much. Hold the stroke. Right. But I want that like all the time. How do I get that? And so I did all this research, and everything said, you just have to allow. You have to relax and allow the connection, allow the messages come through. I was allowing my little heart out. And every once in a while, I get a download, and it always felt great. but it was none of this unconditional, like a Niagara Falls of love. No, it was a lot closer to a leaky watering can. And I was getting a little frustrated. So I'd done my meditation. I'm sitting there journaling, and I'm a little chapped, frankly. And so I'm writing in my journal, why isn't this allowing thing working for me? Kind of ticked off. And I immediately get this message. What is the image that comes to mind when you think of the word allow? And I never put this on anybody else. Each of us has our own unique relationship with words. I immediately saw myself behind a door with a chain on the door, and I'm peeking out the door at the divine, and I am terrified because I don't know what to expect. I don't know how to control it. I don't know what's coming. And I realized, oh, for me, the word allow is a mind-based word, and my mind wants to understand cause and effect. It wants clear, logical systems and processes with a proven outcome. In fact, a guarantee would be very nice. Thank you very much. Well, obviously, that's not the kind of relationship I can have with the divine because it's far beyond human understanding. I realized, okay, I need to pick a word that's a heart-based word that really represents the kind of relationship I want to have with the divine. And it took me a while. I had to really think about it. But I finally realized that my word is welcome. Now you can feel the energy of allow. To me, there's a sense of control around that. Maybe I'll allow you to, but maybe I won't. Welcome, there's no control. I just welcome. And so every time I welcome the divine, I welcome guidance, I welcome inspiration, I welcome ideas, it always comes to me because I've put that intent into what I'm doing, is that I'm welcoming the blessings. And therefore, it's like I've activated my peripheral vision. If you've ever looked for shooting stars, you know, of course, you have to look up at the sky. That's kind of a basic requirement. But then you soften your vision and you activate that peripheral vision. So any little stray bit of light grabs your attention and you actually see the shooting stars. It's the same thing with blessings. We are surrounded and bombarded with information all the time. And we can get oversaturated because we don't have those filters there looking for the blessings. And when we are able to do that, then we receive so much more.
Yeah, I love that. It reminds me also of, I'm fairly confident you've heard Tony Robbins go through the exercise, and he's pretty popular for it, right? Your reticular activating system, where you're looking for a certain thing. And just if someone's not familiar with it, the basic premise here is if I ask you to look around the room and find anything that's green, you're going to look around the room for, 5-10 seconds, you'll see 5-15 things. And when I point that out to you, right, and then again ask you to do it for the color red, this next time you're going to be looking for and seeing all things that aren't even necessarily red, but now you're starting to pick up for that because you're looking for it. You're consciously looking for that in your life. And so, it reminded me a lot of what we're talking about here, where you live in a state of looking for these blessings, and the more that you look for them, the more you're going to find them. And it
Absolutely.
seems such a simple process, right? But how much of this is getting out of your own way, releasing that control, opening up the chain on the door and allowing, right, that to come in? You're welcoming that blessing in your life. And I look around at myself from 5 years ago and how I was so diligently trying to hustle and grind my way to success. And now, today, where I'm not doing the ridiculous things I was 5 years ago, where I'm spending a majority of my day hanging out with my kids or doing hobbies I enjoy. I have more businesses than I did back then. The businesses that I have are more successful than they were. I have deeper relationships than I did. Every measurable metric of my life has improved since I've started to welcome those blessings in my life. And that's why I think conversations like these are so important, and people need to understand this is not just hocus pocus. We're not just two crazy people who, right, knocked our heads on the wall.
There's practical application here. I mean, really, a lot of people think the mirror has to smile first. I want to see the results in my outside world before I'm willing to do anything differently. But I will challenge you to shift what's happening inside. So there's a little practice that I do, and I usually tell people I'm going to do it before I do it. So I like to say, I'm so happy. I'm so grateful. I'm so blessed. And I put that out into the mirror of the universe. And guess what comes back to me? More reasons to be happy, more blessings, more opportunities than I could ever have imagined, because that's how I'm showing up. And that's the energy I'm putting out there. That's why grateful curiosity is such a powerful energy for you to contribute to the universe, because your attention is the most valuable commodity you have. That's your true power, is your attention. Now,
Right.
you set your intention, what you want to accomplish and how you want to feel as you are working on it. And then you focus your attention on all the things that are showing up for you that align with your intention. There's lots of stuff that doesn't, and you can easily get distracted. So it's super important to focus on the intention and what is working for you. You get little dots. It's so funny. I get these little downloads all the time. And each one in and of itself is really powerful. But after a while, I look at all the dots and I realize it's connect the dots. And it suddenly pops into this 3D, oh my gosh, I hadn't really thought about it like that kind of thing. Because how you show up determines what you create. And it's amazing how much power you actually have. That's one of the biggest challenges I think a lot of people struggle with, is they think, well, yeah, I'm just me. I'm not Jim. Look at what he's been able to create. I don't count. I don't rate. Well, there's a fabulous book out there called Connected. It has a really long subtitle, The Surprising Power of Our Social Networks and How They Shape Our Lives. Just remember Connected. It was written by two social scientists who work in universities, and they were curious about the whole 6 degrees of separation thing. How real is that? And what kind of impact do we have on each other? They discovered something called the 3 degrees of influence rule. It turns out that you have influence over your friends, 3 levels away from you. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. I wonder how many people that is. So I asked Dr. Google, and she came back with a recently published article in the New York Times citing some research that says the average American knows about 600 people. And I thought, whoa, that's way more. I can't imagine that. So I asked a couple of friends who are very knowledgeable. They said, that's really low, closer to 1,000. I said, okay, wait, time out. I didn't do the math. These researchers did the math. So let's just look at that and see what happens. So if you imagine a bullseye and you are at the center of the bullseye and there are 3 rings around you representing the friends, that first ring around you is the 600 people that you know. Well, every single one of those 600 people knows 600 people. That's 360,000 people. And every single one of the 360,000 people knows 600 people. That's 216 million people. So according to these two social scientists, everything you think, feel, say, and do ripples out to 216,360,600 people. You being you is the most powerful thing you can do for the planet. Now, that's not the freaky part. Here's where it gets freaky. How much influence do you actually have? It turns out that when you're having a great day, those 600 people in your first ring are 15% more likely to have a great day just because you're having a great day. And those 360,000 people are 10% more likely to have a great day just because you're having a great day. And the 216 million people, you're like, there's not a way in the world. Oh, yeah. They're 6% more likely to have a great day just because you're having a great day. And obviously, not everybody's having a great day all at the same time. Don't worry about it if you're not in a great mood. It's kind of like dodgeball. Nobody wants it. They duck and weave around it. Just remember, when you're in that space, you're connected to 216,360,600 people, and somebody in there is having a great day. If you have ever seen Jim's show, if you've ever been on his show, any book you've ever read, any show you've ever watched, you are energetically connected to all of those people. So you can just imagine me. I'm almost always having a great day, and your energy is permanently connected to mine. We breathe together 3 times. That is forever, baby. So just see that energy, and you can feel your energy start to rise and your shoulders start to drop. Take those 3 deep breaths and you're back in the zone.
I love that. And it also makes me think about the intentionality of who you keep in your close circle. Right. So if you think about those 3 rings, there are maybe 5 or 6 people that you keep even closer to you, that you speak to every day, that you really sync up with. if those people are similarly intentioned, how much more can that amplify your own mood, right?
Absolutely. It's incredible. And, it was interesting. Have you ever heard of something called the 7-day mental diet?
No.
Oh, it's a fascinating thing. It actually came out in the 1920s. It's an exercise where for 7 days, you deliberately avoid anything negative. So you don't watch the news, you don't listen to arguments, you tune out all the stuff that's a downer.
Been doing that for 5 years. Worked
Right.
out well.
So I was working on that and I kept being shown natural disasters and I'd overhear arguments at the grocery store. And I mean, it didn't matter where I went. There was always something negative. So finally, I was asking the divine, why do you keep showing me this stuff? Here's another homeless person. Why am I supposed to be paying attention to this? And I got the message, we are guiding you and you are guiding us. We expect you, when you see something that you don't know how to shift, how to change, that you send our energy to those people so we can support them. So you see them as whole and perfect, exactly as they are on their own unique journey of expansion. And you just imagine love and blessings flowing to these people, whatever they're going through, and we'll take care of the rest. But we are counting on you to help direct that energy where it needs to go. And that was a game changer for me because now I don't have to struggle over this resistance. When I notice something uncomfortable, time to send blessings immediately, time to send blessings. And every time you send blessings to someone else, they always reverberate back to you.
Yeah, I love that. It's, man, I don't even know where to go from there. So many ways to go from there. But the energy transfer, I definitely believe is real, right? Where you can energetically shift someone else's day by bringing them that positive energy. And I will certainly endorse the fact that it comes back to you tenfold, right? Because now this is coming back to you from all these different people that, you go out and you interact with. And these little acts, which I think oftentimes we take for granted because as we continue to develop ourselves and it becomes easier and faster for us to remove the junk in our life and step into this authentic just joy, the amount of joy that we can bring other people is so amazing, but we have to give it to them, right? So we have to, again, release that onto them. And that takes a little bit of, I would say, practice.
It does, because you know what? We get busy, right? We have obligations, we have deadlines, we have things we need to accomplish. And so we tend to look at these things as a distraction. It's like, oh man, I don't want to have my energy go to that stuff because that's totally irrelevant. I got news for you. Everything is relevant because we are all connected. Our energy is all connected. So when you remember to stop for just a moment, it only takes a few seconds to hold those people in perfect divine grace and send them love and blessings and then let go and get on with your day. That doesn't take a lot of time. And it's amazing the things that show up for you. One of the things I love to do is celebrate in advance. So I'll be working on something and I'll think, I'd really love to hear from a couple of mentors today. And I get busy and I go about my day and maybe I'm running errands and I'm in line at the grocery store and there are total strangers in front of me having a conversation. I have no idea what they're talking about, but something they say triggers a message in me and they were my mentors. Right. People all around you are there to bless you and give you the ideas, the inspiration, the insights that you're looking for practical application in your day-to-day life. We get so fixated on, but I've got to do it. I've got to do it. We are doing it.
Or we get fixated on the way that it's supposed to look and feel.
Yes.
Right? We believe it's going to look and feel this certain way. So we pay no mind to the people around us who have blessings to give us, but because we're so fixated on it's supposed to look this certain way, we ignore all these things, right? And so how much of our day are we spent deflecting the blessings that come to us because they're not in the package that we thought they would be in?
And fortunately, they do come back again. If you need to get another opportunity, it will come back to you. One of the things that I've learned to do, because often I'll be out walking in nature in the mornings, I don't have anything with me to write stuff down, and I'll get all these profound downloads. And I'm thinking, darn it, how am I going to remember this stuff? Well, I finally got smart, and I started telling myself, you know what? My subconscious is remembering absolutely everything. And as soon as I sit down with a pen and paper, the divine will remind me of these messages so I can write them down and I can implement them and act on them. So no matter what's happening in your world, remind yourself that you do have power, because we don't have to deny our power. We can acknowledge our power. But the key thing is, when you acknowledge your power, you don't know how it's going to show up. You don't.
Right.
You don't know if it's going to be two mentors in line at the grocery store. You don't know if it's going to be a random call with an invitation for you to speak on a show. You don't know. So when you can get into that state of grateful curiosity, and yes, you are pursuing what you're working on, but everything that's a distraction, you send love and blessings to, and then you keep working on what you're doing with that joy inside,
Right.
that excitement, that delight, because it's continually unfolding for you. It's so funny. It really reminds me of an infomercial. But wait, there's more. There's always more love. There's always more everything. You know, that was one of the most profound messages that I received during my stroke. The divine asked me kind of a rhetorical question. They said, okay, everything is love. The computer you're on is love. The chair you're sitting in is love. You are love. The God of your understanding is love. Everything is love. So how do you expand love if everything is already love? I was stumped. I had no idea. And they said, well, we decided to make human beings who don't think that everything is love. And that gives them the joy of contrast, the difference between what is wanted and what is not wanted. And then you have the opportunity to choose. That's your superpower. You either choose fear and you step back to stay in your comfort zone, or you step forward with grateful curiosity and love, not knowing what's coming. And every time you step forward, you expand the divine. This is literally the cutting edge of the divine. This is how the divine grows, is through us and our willingness to step into the unknown. And I was just blown away by that, because you're like a surfer who's caught an incredible wave, right? And you love to surf. So it's not like you're just going to do one wave. You've been physical many times in the past. You'll be physical many times in the future, because this is the rock star place to be. You get the opportunity to expand and grow with every single lifetime. And there is no limit.
Yeah. It reminds me of the phrase, faith and fear both require you to believe in the invisible.
Yeah.
So which one are you going to believe in, right? Because it's unknown. Both are unknown. They haven't happened yet. But you could believe in fear or you could believe in faith. And I truly believe that the people who have faith and understand that their God is going to bring them the thing that they are desiring, because it's for the greater good, right? And especially when your hearts start to align, and that's when the miracles do happen. And I want to ask you this question, because I've always had this theory. Now, if you see behind me, there's colored pencils and markers and a 3D printer, and there's all sorts of creative things. I've never gone to any kind of art school. I've never done any type of formal training in things, but I can typically sit down with a thing that I've never done before. And this will sound like a pat on the back thing, but please understand it's not. I can sit down with a thing I've never done before. Hey, I want to design and 3D print and paint this thing. Zero experience, zero training, but I have two things. One is I freaking care a lot. I put my heart into everything that I do. And number two is I have this belief that I'm going to be able to do it. And I truly believe that those two things combined, caring a tremendous amount, putting your heart into the thing that you're doing, and a belief and a confidence that you will be able to do it, are the secret ingredient that has allowed me to do literally whatever I want. And it sort of feels like, I don't even know. I don't even know how to describe it.
You acknowledge your power. That's the key to acknowledging your power. Now, I would say there's a third thing that's kind of a subcontext that you're not really thinking about, which is whenever you contribute in any way, And even if you think it's just for you, like you're never going to market it, you're not going to sell this stuff, it's just something that's for your own creative innovation and satisfaction. In reality, you are contributing to the 216,360,600 people by using your creativity, by using your skills. You're empowering them to use their skills. So it creates this wave of prosperity. And
Right.
that's what you're really doing. And when you tap into that, yeah, you're lost in that grateful curiosity, right? You don't know how it's going to come together. You're just having fun playing. And
Right.
that's one of the other things. I decided I'm not going to work anymore. I've taken that word away because every time I think of work, I think of I have to do something. It feels hard. It feels onerous. It feels like I'm on my own and I can't play with anybody else. And so I decided, no, I'm not going to work anymore. I'm going to play, because when I play, I'm playing with other people. I get to engage and it's fun. I get to instead of I have to.
Right.
And that's really where you're coming in. I think so often we get wrapped around, but I have this deadline and I have to perform and I have to do this at work, or I'm not going to have a job anymore. Granted. And there's that the creativity part of you. It's bringing you into everything you do. Everybody gets so concerned about AI, and AI is going to take over the world and take all the jobs. It's going to change things, kind of like the difference between when we were dependent upon horses for all of our transportation versus cars. So sure, things are going to change. That human element, that personal creativity and passion and delight and curiosity is the key factor to creating. And so
Yes.
you're just making such a massive difference with what you're doing. Congratulations. How exciting.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I do believe, even just to go back to the point you made about AI, I think that is a tremendous mindset difference between the person who says, poor me, my job is going to be lost to AI, my life is going to change forever, boo-hoo, versus the person who says, how freaking exciting, I am living in a time where I can jump on this wave and be one of the first people to do X, Y, and Z and innovate in this area.
Exactly.
And again, that I think those are the two different mindsets which we've been talking about this whole time. Which one are you going to choose?
Yeah.
Right? Neither one are required. You have the free will to choose, right? It's faith versus fear. Which one are you going to pick?
And you aren't going to know in advance.
Right. But, I believe that the people who continue to live with that grateful curiosity, right? The people who have that heart and who believe in their higher calling, who believe in their purpose, who believe in their gifting, who believe in all of this, who believe in the good and continue to go out there and share those blessings, are the ones that continue to have the blessings.
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm sure every person has someone in their life who they know, who says, I'm just unlucky. Bad things always happen to me. And it continues to be the case. Why? They're not genuinely unlucky. They continue to manifest in their life. Right? Would you agree?
Absolutely. That's what they're putting into the mirror. And that's what they see, because that's the reflection they're looking for. We were talking about the reticular system before. Definitely. Right. I mean, everything in life is contrast. That's how we know what we're looking at. Our eyes are designed to notice movement. And so we're always looking for the contrast, the shift, the change. And yet, in contrast is opportunity. We know that. And so, yeah, this is an unprecedented time of abundance and prosperity and opportunity for all of us. Because every time you prosper, you bring 216,360,600 people along with you on that ride. And we are all energetically connected, and we are all raising. It was really interesting. I got an interesting image from the divine, because I was thinking about some people that I know in my life who are very much Debbie Downers and always looking on the dark side, and you have to allow people to be where they are. You can't force anybody into a different perspective. They have to be willing to have that perspective. And I was given this image of a bunch of sailboats on their sides in a bay, and the water was out. The tide had gone out. And I saw that as the tide came back in, it went down into the deepest ruts of the bay first. And then eventually it filled the holes until it could get to the bottom of the boats, and then it could lift all of the boats. And I was reminded that those who most need love are those who have forgotten how to love.
Yeah, I love that. And the reason why I'm giggling a little bit is you can't see this because it's a little blurry behind me, but allow me 1 second here. Can you see what that sign says?
Yes, a rising tide lifts all boats. Yep. And of course, I've heard that before, but it was a slightly different context. It's like, yeah, there are people in your life who are having a difficult time, or they don't tend to look at life the way you do. There's nothing wrong with them. They are on a different path. So the best thing you can do is send them love and blessings, see them as whole and healed, see their life is working out perfectly for them, because they are on their own journey of expansion. You cannot force expansion on anyone. They must be willing to expand. So yeah, it's a challenge because we want the best for everybody, right? And the best you can do for everybody is allow them to be where they are and be a role model, because how you are being ripples out. And eventually they notice. And finally, they'll say, hey, I want what he's having. How can I have some of that?
100%. Yeah, and there's the reason why I have that sign there is, I want to be that rising tide, right? You're not discriminating based on whether it's a dinghy or a yacht. You are being the rising tide. You are lifting the tide for everyone around you, regardless of what kind of boat they have or what's in their boat or anything else. You're focused on just rising the tide. And it's such a beautiful expression, and the fact that there is so much alignment between the conversations we've had really should just be an exclamation point on how true this is. And I sincerely hope that someone listening to this today takes just today. Man, I don't care if it's just one day, if it's 1 hour, that you allow yourself to believe in yourself, in the good, in the possibility, in all of this, and just forget the fear and the doubt and the belief that you have that things are not going to work out or you're unlucky or whatever it is. Put it in a box, put it away for now. Believe in the good, believe in yourself, believe in the blessings, and just allow yourself to receive them and see how it goes. And I guarantee you that if you genuinely do that and you approach the rest of this day with a grateful heart, just open to receiving blessings, you will be amazed at the things that come in. But you genuinely have to be willing to receive them and not worry about what they're going to look like or not have this preconceived notion of what package is going to come in. Blessings are going to come your way. And I truly 100% believe that. I am so happy we had this conversation because I know for a matter of fact, it is going to unlock so many people who are listening to this right now to really just see the blessings around them that they've been just ignoring because they were expecting them to look a different way.
Well, I've got another story that I want to share with you.
Please, yeah, I'll take them all.
I'm a human being, just like everybody else. So I was running some errands and I was driving my husband's truck, and it's a fairly large vehicle. And me and spatial awareness, we have a distant relationship at best. And so I'm backing out of this parking space and I'm going very slowly, very carefully because I don't want to hit anything. And out of the corner of my eye, I see somebody absolutely racing through the parking lot. And I'm thinking, wow, that is not safe. And I continue backing up slowly, slowly, slowly. And all of a sudden, I heard somebody behind me honk. I went from happy, happy, joy, joy to pissed off in a nanosecond. I mean, just boom, the Hulk came out to play. I did not look at them, but I was thinking terrible things. Those people must have been bounced on their head as a child. They weren't just dropped, they were dribbled repeatedly. And I was going off and just, in righteous indignation, really upset. And I got this message from the divine. Honey, whoa, hold up, time out. We keep telling you that every single moment is designed to be a blessing for you. That story that you're telling yourself does not sound like a blessing. We want you to deliberately make up a story where the moral of the story is that honk was a blessing for you. What would that sound like? And I had to think about it for a minute. I thought, well, maybe I was actually about to hit something. And whoever that was didn't have time to put their car in park, jump out, run around, knock on my window. Hey, lady, you're going to hit something. All they could do was honk. And I stopped immediately. Well, maybe it's because they had a different vantage point on my parking space than I did. And I didn't think I had room, but maybe they realized I did. So it was more like a thumbs up. You've got this. You're good to go. And as it happened, I cranked on the wheel and I squeaked out of that parking space. and I was on my way. And again, they didn't have time to put in park, jump out, run around. Hey, you're good. Go ahead. You got this. I thought, okay, well, maybe it really was a blessing. And then the real message came through. I've been the bad guy. I've been the one blocking my own blessings because of the story that I make up about what it means. I have the option to make up a story that this is for my benefit. This is enriching my life in some way. This is improving my life in some way. I can't tell you how many people I know who had a traffic accident, ended up dating the cop who came to the scene to help them out. You don't know how the blessings are going to show up for you.
Right.
But they always do when you are willing to let them in. So tell a better story. Notice your story and tell a better story.
Yeah, I believe that 100%, especially because like you continue to operate in that space where you're believing that it is going to work out in your favor, even if you don't know how yet. Right. But then eventually, right, like we talked about before, it does come around to work out in your favor, and you're either manifesting it or you're bringing it into reality. But your attitude, your perspective, your mindset are seeing all the different little pieces, the little dots, which are going to bring that into your reality, just because you're allowing it to be, right? You're not focused on the negative. You're not telling yourself that bad version of the story. So I love that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I just view everything that happens in my life as a blessing. And I know that I am guided to be with different people for different reasons. For example, I was recently on vacation and had a detached retina. So I got to come home early from my vacation, and they have surgery for that. So I'm regaining my sight. It's almost back to 100%. And it's really interesting because I was guided to be present for the people at the doctor's office, for the folks who did the surgery, for all the people in the room. And that was important for me to be there. It was really interesting. When you have this kind of surgery, you're completely anesthetized. You can't feel anything, but they do not put you totally out. You're on real good stuff, so you're not worried about anything. But they don't have you completely out, because when you are, your head will jerk uncontrollably, and they're operating on you using a microscope. So they can't have you move at all. So you are awake and you can hear and you can speak. So I was just in this space of infinite divine grace during the entire surgery. And I'm holding this space for myself, for all the people working with me, for everyone else in the surgery center who was experiencing this transition, everything. And I hired angels. Real easy to hire angels. There's gazillions of them, and they're bored to flipping tears. Okay. They would love to help you out, but you have to ask for their help. So I said, hey, angels, I so appreciate all that you're doing for me. Thank you for giving me back perfect physical sight and for giving me perfect spiritual sight at the same time. I really appreciate it. This is awesome. And thank you for supporting everyone who's helping me today. So I'm just holding this space, and it's a fairly difficult surgery. So after a while, I heard the surgeon take this deep sigh. He'd been working for a while. And I said, all is well. You are in infinite divine grace. Your hands are divinely guided. All is well. And after the surgery, he came up to me in front of my husband, and he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, I got to tell you, you made me a better surgeon today.
That's amazing.
You don't know the difference you're going to make. And when you are willing to show up with that grateful curiosity and appreciation, things shift in your favor beyond anything you could imagine. Anything.
Yeah, especially the difference that, when you feel called to say something, right? Because how many times have you been called to even tell someone, hey, I like your glasses?
Yeah.
Could be a silly little thing that sometimes you're like, I'm not going to say that. That's awkward. But, right? But you feel led to say something to someone, and that little comment could very well change their entire reality.
Yeah.
I love
a
that.
Smile.
Thank you for sharing that. Right?
A smile can change reality.
Yeah.
Okay. So how are you choosing to show up today? What are you putting in the mirror of the universe? What do you choose to notice today? Because you can notice the bad stuff. It's all just stuff. It's all just energy. So why not be the master creator that you are and direct that energy. The more blessings you send, the more blessings you receive. You are a blessing and you are blessed. And therefore you have the responsibility to bless. Yeah.
Yes. Whew. This has been an episode. Yeah.
We got pretty deep.
Good. I love that. Well, listen, I know we're running out of time here. So I just want to thank you tremendously for the work that you do, for taking that. What most people would say, hey, I had a stroke. It was the most catastrophic event of my life. Everything was over. I'm just going to curl up and just enjoy the rest of my life. For taking that opportunity to then come back and pour intentionally into other people and lift them up is amazing. So thank you for doing what you do, and continuing to show up and inspire other people and help them unlock this in their life, because the difference that you are making in people's lives is hard to put into words. So honor to you for that. It's just tremendous.
Thank you so much, Jim. I really tried to share what I learned from the divine. And it took me a while to figure it out, but I did write my book, 5 Steps to Activate Your Abundance. And of course, I have my show, The Abundance Journey. And I love working with people who crave this spiritual expansion and they just aren't sure how to marry that in with their daily life, because you are both. You are divine duality. And when you understand how to leverage both, everything just opens up. Life becomes magical. I'm sure you're noticing that.
Oh, absolutely. It's almost it's like this childlike joy where each day is a present that you get to unwrap, and you're not sure what awesomeness is going to be inside, but you know there's going to be something cool that comes from it.
Exactly.
It's fun. It really is fun.
It is. It's an adventure. It turns everything into a fun adventure. And no matter what happens, you see opportunities where other people see chaos and danger. You see opportunities. And so it really puts you on this prosperity track. You know, everything shows up for you and people want what you're having. You become magnetic and they are so excited and interested to play with you because you get how it all comes together. And it's interesting because it is energetic. And what we have to work with are words. Words have a lot of energy, but they also have a lot of baggage for people. So it can be challenging to help people through the words that we have really tap into that energetic field. But I hope people have gotten a sense today of just how powerful they are and what magic
100%.
they can create in their own lives.
Yes. I agree wholeheartedly. And I think the last thing that I would want to just reinforce is that I am not different than you or different than anybody else. Right? We all have the same giftings, not the same giftings, right? We're all uniquely gifted, but we are all gifted in a thing. I am no more gifted in anything else than anybody else. I am just choosing to intentionally make these decisions, and the reality that I am living is a result of that. And you have the same power to make those decisions and live the life that you want to live. You just have to choose. So encouragement to you to choose to welcome the blessings. That's what I can encourage you to do.
Awesome, Jim. Oh, I love what you're doing. Thank you so much. Because you are lifting all the boats. You really are. And your energy is fabulous. I'm so delighted I got a chance to chat with you today.
Thank you. Pleasure's been all mine. All right. This has been fun. Thank you. And we'll talk again soon. I'm sure of that.
Awesome. I would love to have you on my show, actually.
Yeah, we'll do it. Let's talk it up. I'm going to end this episode now, but we'll hang out and we'll set that up.